We going live right
Yeah,
now.
we're live.
Okay, we're live now. Thank goodness this thing wants to play games with me. Hello, welcome back to J&J Mondays. I'm J77, my co-partner, John Ken, and we're gonna mix it up this week. We will have the usual box office results. That is something that is mandatory on this Monday afternoon. We're also going to be talking about some things in entertainment, but we're all going to talk about two serious stories that I do want to address because they're very important, especially after the articles that's been coming out on the weekends. Of course, you have what was that? That one came from your side. Oh wait, it came from my side. Hold on a second. It waited now to get on the air. Um, Give me a second, because this thing just waited, and now it froze. There we go. There we go. Now I
This
got it.
is the
Okay.
lovely thing about
Never
hosting a
mind.
podcast. It's like you're being the host. You're intimately connected to anything that can go wrong, and so I'm just glad that I don't have to deal with the shit. I don't have to be
No,
the one that's worrying for once.
hey, look, I was waiting for it to come on, and it didn't come on. So I figured, okay, it's not gonna come on. Now I turn on the podcast, it came on, but I turned it off, so that's all right. That's one of the stories we're gonna be touching on. One of the serious stories. It involves Joan Rivers. We're talking about that. Actually, there's two stories I want to talk about. The procedure that everybody said it's supposed to be simple, as well as what Westboro Baptist Church I can't did that got their Twitter account suspended. Yeah, so leave it to Westboro to actually do something that they said Twitter said enough. I shouldn't even call them Baptist, right? I don't think that you put them in that same name. It's a shame to even try to use that, especially what they've been doing. We'll talk about something in New York. A couple of stuff which I would like to hear your opinion on because you've been watching the shows a lot. The Strain. Uh, I want to hear what you have to say about that, as well as some
It's
blockbusters, as
awesome.
well as some hit and miss
Watch it.
films. I'm gonna try. I mean, but where I'm at is that they don't ever heard of it. A lot of people like the old school shows, and when I ask them how come they don't watch anything new, they said the new ones completely stink. So I guess they never heard about the show that you have seen. Which reminds
It's
me, how
old
was this
school,
week
man.
episode?
No, never mind. Sorry, interrupting you. But before we really start talking about it for this episode, the vampires aren't romantic. There's no romancing any of them. I mean, they're just killers. They see you and your food. It
So
is
basically, we're
awesome.
saying we're not gonna see a Twilight romance at all
Oh
on this
fuck
show.
no. They don't have dicks.
I think we already established that part.
Yeah. I don't know if I
Are
established.
they closing in on the season finale though? They've been on for a while now.
Yeah, I have to check how many episodes are left. But sorry. Hello?
Yeah, I'm right here. Something
Okay,
happened. I don't know what it. I think it froze
your
up a little bit.
screen just froze up. Froze up.
Okay, I just noticed it. I think when I went for my coffee, it froze up. But is it closer to season finale? That's what I wanted to know.
I'd have to double check. How about you continue talking about shit and I'll try to look it up on my phone.
What's the new episode gonna be like? That might actually picture. You have to look it up on their phone. I don't want to go crazy. I'm pretty sure that many people will definitely tune me in when they start seeing this podcast.
Yeah. It's what to expect from later episodes?
Yeah, where's it leading up to? Because it got to be leading up to something. I'm pretty sure they ain't killing people for no reason.
Uh, I well,
There
this
got to be a
is
reason.
based on a book trilogy by Guillermo del Toro and someone else. So it's at least for this first season, it'll probably lead up to New York or wherever they're at. Manhattan, yeah, they're by Harlem, and so it's probably going to be it all being taken over maybe in the first season or I I can't. I'm glad that the rat exterminator guy Fett's joining up, and I could tell that he was sort of leading up to be Satrakian's of apprentice, and in this current episode, that definitely seems to be the case. They had like a little conversation where it was made like very clear that Fed was going to probably eventually take over for Satrakian. But I don't want Satrakian to die because he is awesome.
Okay. Well, I just know one thing. This show has definitely caught me by surprise because the ratings for this is pretty okay. It's not one of the top 10, not one of the top 50, but it's still there. It's still good enough. And for the most part, the rating for critics wise is actually pretty okay as well. So, who knows? This may actually lead to a longevity for the show, or may not. It all depends on how much the fans stick to it in season two. Um, it's the one show that caught me by surprise because, like I said, I did not expect the show to be about vampires. I just thought it was an academic show, but
I didn't know it
that's so
was
much I
about
know.
vampires first, but before it premiered, I heard people talking about vampires being in it. So,
And you got hooked because you like
I
stuff like that.
don't know.
And
Vampires are interesting, and definitely seeing old school vampires is like refreshing. I don't mind the romantic kind, but it's just that the mainstream has just been inundated with romantic vampires, and it's not a good mix. So seeing, hey, they can be different. It's like
well, have you seen True Blood?
I have a
Have you seen True Blood?
I don't have HBO, so keeping up with HBO shows can be a pain in the butt. And I've seen
Okay.
episodes here and
Well,
there.
I
I
can
saw
tell
the
you this.
finale.
Okay. All right. So you definitely saw it. I can tell you, True Blood is nothing it's not Twilight. That's for sure. I read the book. The books are actually pretty good. I didn't think I was gonna like the books, and I actually like the books. They ended the book series, and they actually ended the HBO series. And I think that was actually okay. You can have romance, but you can not, but you can also make it dark as well, and that's what they did well with the True Blood and the book series, which is not True Blood. I believe they call it the Snooky series. It's
Stokey's
it's called Dead and
Steakhouse.
Buried. Yeah, it has a weird names, but it's actually pretty good. And I actually thought the author did a good job. It's definitely not a children's book or a tween book if you want to call them
Well,
that.
they have a
But
good.
that was something that I actually think it is.
Yeah, they had a show on
Go
HBO.
ahead, I'm
It's
listening.
definitely not a kids series.
Yeah, well, if anybody who don't like Twilight, True Blood is definitely for you, because you definitely will be satisfied. All right, we have a couple
But in
stories we
all
got to get
fairness,
to.
uh, all fairness.
Unfortunately,
Oh, sorry.
go ahead.
In all fairness, I do enjoy the
Go ahead.
Twilight books, but more of because, oh my God, these got published. I look at them sort of as a comedy series, sort of like, eating chocolate. It's like, it's not good. I
Hmm.
think what really ruined it, though, was that it's really popular when it's like, this is a piece of shit. This doesn't deserve, like, to have millions of books sold. I mean, there's struggling writers out
It
there.
knows its audience.
Yeah, horny teenagers.
It knows its writers. Hey, it worked. I
It
can't knock
worked.
them.
I don't like that it
All
worked.
right, we have. Hey, it did. I'm getting an echo for some reason, but now we got to talk about the stories that we have here because they're waiting for us. Say, hey, when are you gonna get to us? So I'm gonna get to you guys now. Um, Sunday, they was pretty much saying they farewells to Joan Rivers. As you know, last week she had passed away due to I'm gonna say unofficial because they didn't really give an official autopsy report, which I'm kind of surprised they didn't because they buried her kind of quickly. They She went for a routine procedure on her throat. She went to cardiac arrest and died a week later in Mount Sinai Hospital. Lots of people, fans and celebrities alike, that voiced their condolences as well as their memories of Joan Rivers. One of the most memories that keeps going back to her life is her relationship, both good and bad, with Johnny Carson, which as a kid I knew about that rocky start. For what I understood, they made amends. Um, and that's actually a good thing. But there was always that kind of a rocky relationship. She was very controversial. She was very open about certain things. She was very supportive about certain things. And yet, as the days go on, and you're going to see it, there's going to be questions about the practice that she about plastic surgery, as well as the questioning about her death and whether the doctors was responsible for her death. Now, I'm just going to say it right off the bat that I think that anybody who is going to try to blame the medical staff for this without actually having the details from the investigation, because the New York Health Administration is actually investigating this, is fooling themselves. Let's not forget about one thing. Joan Rivers was known to have lots of plastic surgery. She made fun of having plastic surgery. That was one of the things that I kind of respect from her because she knows a lot of people are talking about that and rather just mope about it. She made fun about it herself. But the point was is that there was a lot of things that I questioned more, not just from the doctor side, but from Joan Rivers' side. And I'm not trying to say here that I'm blaming Joan Rivers for demise. That's not what I'm doing. Bless you. And
Thank
bless you. And bless you.
Shut it.
But what I am going to say,
I'm gonna shove this inhaler up
what
one of
I
your
am going to
armpits.
say is that there is, all right, but what I am going to say about this whole entire situation is that a lot of people tend, and even the media does this more than anything else, is that she was supposed to have a routine procedure, and that routine procedure went horribly wrong. Now, maybe that was the case, maybe not. But here's the thing: I think people need to understand, and I'm going to hear your opinion as well on this: is that when it comes to anything that involves surgery of any kind, there's always going to be risk. As you get older, the risks get higher. This is not Joan Rivers in her 40s. This is not Joan Rivers in her 50s. This is not Joan Rivers even in her 60s. This was Joan Rivers in her 80s going for procedure, a throat procedure. The older you are, the higher the risk is, and that's something that I think people need to take to account before jumping the gun and trying to blame the medical staff for what has happened here. All right, especially if the medical staff sat down with her, explained to her, listen, so let you know this is the procedure. There's going to be complication. There may be risk. All right, these are the risks that's here. They show her a piece of paper saying these are the risks that's going to happen. Are you sure you want to do this? Because there may not be no guarantee that you may be the same. You may be 100%. This may actually make things worse. And I know a lot of people say, "Oh, but she was healthy," and she was healthy. There's no question. Physically, she was healthy. But any type of surgery, like for me, I have to be extra special careful when it goes to the dentist because there are certain things I can't let the dentist do because I will have a reaction. Right? Anytime when you're doing something from pulling your teeth, from going for open heart surgery to any kind of surgery in general, your body's going to have a reaction to what is happening, and that is a strain on the body. It is a strain on the body. Your body is being stressed out just on that alone. Okay, there are people that I know that can't even be put under because they're allergic to anesthesia. That is something they have to let the doctors know. And how they let them know is simple fact is they have a list of stuff they ask you. That pain in the ass list that we got to go through page after page and check do we have this that. That's the reason why, because there may be a possibility that what they want to do or about to do may actually affect you where it can actually become fatal. Right? So the object of this not being a simple procedure, yeah, it may be a simple procedure. It may not take long, but doesn't mean that it can be threatening to your health. Um, that's the thing I'm more concerned about, because this is going to be a story. The next 2 weeks, you're going to see 10 Win talk about it, 2020, a lot of special reports about Joan Rivers, um, her uh, her her ways of dealing with plastic surgery. You have a situation where doctors should have been done, should they be held accountable, and especially since the rumors, and it's going to resurface again about them possibly suing the medical staff. One must ask, did the doctors do their job right in terms of giving her the lowdown of how dangerous this procedure is, the complications, the side effects, and whether or not this will be right for you with her age, 81 years old. The risk of surgery is greater. And if she is aware about that, if she was told about this, if they said about, and if she said, I still want to do it, do they have something on paper with witnesses that state that she have given us permission to do this procedure and she was aware about the risk and consequences? These are the stuff I think that people need to let the investigators do first before I start seeing remarks about they killed her, they need to go to jail, they need to be closed down. Let's see what is going to happen, because again, we don't again when they came to this report, it was all over the place. Now that we know what it is, let them do what their job is, and see for themselves whether or not they should be pressed on criminal charges, if in fact they did not tell her and they just went for the money. I said my piece about the saying. What about you?
Yeah, I think people definitely shouldn't jump into believing something without double checking. And I might have complained about this on the last episode of this, but it's like the news media needs, headlines, it needs views, it needs attention, like a little screaming child that just needs to be paid attention to. So when important stories like this come out where you need time to decipher what's going on, you need to wait for the information. They can't wait. They have to get things out now so that people will tune in, visit their web pages. But yeah, it really but your point of there being surgery, and when you're older, things take more of a toll out of you. So it might not have been the smartest thing to get the surgery done, at that age, because you're right, she's not 40. She's around 20 years from being 100. So, yeah, and surgeries, I've never really had any major surgery. I think the recent thing I've had was a gastrectomy where they had to knock me out, and so they put a tube down my throat into my upper intestine. And, they did ask, are you allergic? What are you allergic to? What medications are you taking? So, when you get put under, you go to some sort of procedure, they do make sure that they're not accidentally going to kill you. So if the doctors did say, hey, Miss Rivers, here are the risks, and if she knew the risks and was willing to take it, then there was no real wrong done. She just made a bad decision. We should wait
Like I
for
said,
all the
I don't want to say
facts.
she made a bad decision. I really don't want to say she made a bad decision. I
But she
think,
did
like I
die.
said, I don't know why she needed surgery. Yes, I mean she did. And like I said, I don't know why. I still can't fathom why she needed throat surgery. I just don't know what it was that she felt compelled to get it. the way from what I've been seeing in interviews, and it was recent, she sounded just fine. You sound just like I remember her when I was like 9 years old. So I don't know why she decided to go with it with that type of surgery. But again, any type of surgery on her age, I don't care what they say about a simple procedure. You're still putting a whole lot of stress on your body just on the fact of the age alone. So again, my major again, if she knows that they told her, look, this is what's going to happen, like you said, and she went on with it, then to play the blame game on the doctor is really unfair because they did their job. They told her what was the risk here. Unless they're telling me that there was somebody who was not experienced, who didn't tell Joan Rivers about the risk, who didn't even know how to do the procedure right, and these are all going to come out in the open, then there's a different story. But they did everything they could. The procedure was going just as well as planned, and Sean Hart just stopped. Then I don't see how the medical staff could be held accountable for it. There's a difference between malpractice and just something that can complications. So I really do believe, and to the media credit, they haven't really poured in on it as much as I thought they would. But that's because everybody was remembering the life and her career. That I think they was more focused on that than just focusing on the doctors and what they did wrong. They didn't hound the doctors as normally they would. It wasn't like Michael Jackson, where the doctor was almost like the center of attention after he had died, but after the family made it clear they wanted to get that doctor, and they did. I don't know if Melissa Rivers is going to hound the issue to investigate and file criminal charges. We It was out there that they said that they are considering suing, but again, I think they have to just wait and see what the city, uh, what the investigators are going to do, what the health investigators were going to do, and what conclusion they came up with, who the doctors were, what was being told to her, how was the procedure done, and then when they see that there may be malpractice, then yeah, by all means, go ahead. They should have been more responsible, especially someone who's 81 years old. But if Joan Rivers again was told about this, was informed about this, then I think there's very little they can do except is she died from complications from surgery, and from what I'm seeing, from what I've been reading, and from what's been going on, I think that's exactly what's going to end up happening in the end. That she died from just complication from the surgery, and there was no foul play, there was no malpractice, and she was in fact told that this has happened. I don't buy that a doctor, that profession, uh, who's going to risk their career and their freedom by not telling Joan Rivers that hey, this is very risky, and you may actually be worse off than what you are right now. I just don't buy it.
Yeah, doctor, performing a surgery on a really famous celebrity. Say what you will about Joan Rivers, but you don't decide to risk your career on accidentally killing her or injuring her. Not that sort of person.
Yeah.
Not if you want a nice, long, good doctoring career. And my hands were again doing whatever the hell they were
Exactly.
doing.
You're doing just fine. I wouldn't worry about that.
I know my hands.
Yeah. So that's the whole thing, and I'm hoping.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. I'm hoping that everything gets ironed out, and we won't, it won't. At least it wasn't turned to a circus, and I'm actually glad about that. Um, she had a celebrity funeral like she wanted, and they gave her a celebrity funeral. New York, where her home was, a lot of things was packed with flowers, and she's gonna be missed. She's gonna be remembered. She is one of the great legends that Hollywood, especially New York, have lost. Because she was one of the true New Yorkers that was here. And again, it's tragedy that happened. So she's gone. They have done the funeral. They said their last goodbyes, but this is not the last we're going to hear about the story. and we only hope that at least with the media, they continue to let the investigators do their job and not throw stuff out there, which they tend to do sometimes.
Yeah.
Let them do what the investigators pay to do and find out exactly if that was the cause of death or not. So with that, I have to move over to oh God, why can't this organization go away? Just seeing their name makes me sick. I really do. I mean, I really don't even want to talk about them, but I have to. It is a talk. It is an entertainment talk, but they're not even entertaining. It's Westboro Baptist Church. They have done something here that just don't make no sense to me. Um, can anybody explain what Joan Rivers did to the Westboro Baptist Church? They had them picketing the funeral.
She existed.
That don't even make no sense.
I don't
They
know.
really don't. I
Uh,
mean,
it's they just really don't make sense at all. They're hating everyone who isn't them. It's a very them versus us mentality. They're a cult.
you know what? That cult. If anybody believes that they're for God and righteousness, you gotta think again. You know, according to the headlines here that I got in front of me, Westboro Baptist Twitter account is suspended after Joan Rivers comments. Now, I haven't bothered to even attempt to look at Westboro's Twitter account. I could care less about their Twitter account. Something has happened to my computer. Can you
Yeah,
hear me?
your computer doesn't like the Westboro Baptist Church and hates that you're talking about
It just my
it.
computer just went black on me. What the hell just happened? You can still hear me though, right?
I can hear you.
Can you see me?
I can see you.
Oh, so what just happened?
I don't know.
My computer
I'm
just
a
went.
writer. I'm
My
not.
computer just went black on me. That is weird. That's never happened to me before. All right, but basically okay, there now I'm back on. I don't know what just happened, but you can still see me, right?
Yes, I can. I mean, my screen is
Okay.
a little black with you in it, but you know.
Yeah. I don't know what just happened. Okay. That's an omen right there. I gotta lower my voice. Okay, now hopefully that don't happen again. I don't know what just went down, but everything's fine. But it says in the article that I'm going to read here that this week the Westboro Baptist folks announced their intentions to picket the funeral of Joan Rivers. The comment about Rivers' finally resulted in the suspension of the group main Twitter account. Now, this is belonged by WBC. Several other Twitter accounts open in the name of various church members, including Fred Phelps Jr., remain open and are used to retweet whatever the church leadership wants to demonstrate.
Demonstrated.
I don't understand what they want. Thank you for correcting me. This is why I gave you the link, so that way you can catch my mistakes. um, I don't get it. With their Twitter account suspended, They ran a pic on their Instagram account calling Rivers a. Are you serious?
Oh,
Am I
fuck
reading
it.
that right?
Oh, fag enabler in hell.
You know,
One. Fuck it. Fuck it.
okay.
Fuck it. Fuck it. Fuck it.
Do I remember? Did Joan Rivers ever mention anything?
I don't really know
Did
about
Joan Rivers
Joan
ever mention
Rivers.
anything?
Oh,
I mean, shit.
fucking.
I don't remember her mentioning anything about us stand against same marriage or anything between that. Are you really serious that they said that? They do know she has a daughter, right?
Was they? I don't. Fag
I don't.
enabler would
It's
be
gonna move
that
on.
she enables the LGBTQ plus community, not necessarily that she is herself gay. I mean, gay people can have children. I don't. I'm trying to put
Yeah, I know that, but
logic
you know,
where
the
there
thing
is
is that
none.
never. According
I'm
to the
so.
recent Westboro page post, the Westboro Baptist Church is a group. Westboro Baptist Church group. is only about 75 people. You know, for 75 people, they sure make the loudest noise.
Oh, fuck,
They
yeah.
really do. They really do. 75 people make the loudest noise. They made the headline page here. Um, they seem to make headlines in at least weekly. How does a group this small, especially that one rails against the media, manage to make a splash that they do? Well, let's notice you are talking about them. That's why they keep doing what they're doing.
Yeah, we're talking
Two,
about
we got social media.
them, damn
Exactly.
you.
So it says here, as noticed about Westboro's run an echo chambers of Twitter accounts that retweet things that gave the impression that they're a bigger outreach than they really are. And they gave some of the examples here. False religion. I never heard of WBC Blakely,
Becky,
WBC photos, WBC film. A lot of WBCs here.
God hates
God
the world.
H8 the world. I'm assuming that says God hate the world.
Yeah, I'm going to
'Cause that's
assume
the only way I got.
that. I'm sorry,
Could you please put down the whole word?
that's the funniest handle out of this list.
I have to really look at that. I'm like, all you need to do is put down word. And then you got God hates with an H8 and S, the media. And yet you're using the media to spread your words. So you must not hate you that much. Um, as long as this bunch has been marching around, one would think that they would have immense more followers than this. Nobody's stupid enough to be a part of this group. They're not even recognized by the Baptist community or any
Even
church for that matter.
it's like even people, if they do agree with them, aren't exactly going to become public with that information because people sort of want to be
You're right.
accepted with jobs and money.
Well, it says an example of the group Twitter reached to an article wrote yesterday about their threat to
Oh,
picket the Jaon River's funeral. The WBC has up tweeted out a link to the article, then retweet that tweet for several other Twitter accounts. As of this minute, the article has only been viewed for a total of 2,182 times. That is not good. This is the article it says here. Now, it says sometimes the article catch a trend cycle and gets tens of thousands of views in a short period of time. Several other Westboro articles have done this, but those were never retweeted by Westboro. That article did not catch a trend wave on its own, which made it already a good test subject for determining the effects that Westboro could have on it. The result in the 24-hour, including the Sunday Westboro tweet, only sent me maybe 1,000 page views. Interesting. It's not as though specific determination. I'm hoping I'm reading that right.
it's not
But it
thorough.
tells me that no one should.
It's
Uh,
not thorough.
but it tells me that no one should base any. Well, it's not a pro. So I'll read it again. It's not as though the specific determination, but it tells me that no one should base any sort of marketing or outreach strategy on Westboro's Twitter presence. And that's what the article said. Now, I'll say this again. It seems like I'm seeing the pattern with these guys now because I'm noticing that they only do this every time when something happens. Anytime when there's a death or a tragedy of immense amount of proportion, like what happened at Sandy Hook, these people just shows up. They want to pick it for whatever reason. They want to pick it. They don't have no justification, and if the justification they do have don't even make sense to what has happened above. All right, um, I don't get why people think they actually lost more members than they gained. That 75 members, I think they're only being pleasantly polite because they have lost a lot of people because they're realizing they're saying, hey, they don't really serve a real purpose. They don't have a real agenda other than the fact to hate everybody left and right. Most media, like the Daily Show, Stephen Colbert, or anyone who deals with political comedy, had made fun of them, had parodied them. To me, when I heard this, I'm like, are you serious? I mean, Joan Rivers. All right, hey, seriously, Joan Rivers. I think Joan Rivers up in heaven is just laughing at them and saying, "Now this is the joke right here." I mean, come on. You really have nothing better to do. You
Obviously, they don't.
got nothing. You're speechless on this one.
No, I'm just letting you do the ranting.
Hey, I'm,
Because it's like,
I mean, I'm not. Trust me, I'm not ranting. I'm just keeping it real. I mean,
rant, you're just
you
going,
haven't seen my old
oh my
videos.
god, this is so insane. It's basically been you for like the last 20 minutes, so I'm just drinking my coffee here going, this is the way to wake up. Seeing my
Well, the
host
first
and
couple of minutes, I had a black screen.
what?
But it's the thing, though. You see, the thing that bothers me, the thing that really bothers me is from a family. My family is predominantly Baptist. I'm not the only Buddhist in the whole entire family. Even they scratching their head how that possibly happened, but they supportive. I actually, that's what I like about it. They supportive. I still hold Baptist ties, and to me, this is not nothing Baptist they're doing at all. I mean,
There's nothing Catholic, there's nothing Christian about what they're doing. They're just plain and simple hate group that says, "Hey, we're totally Baptist." I mean, they have a Twitter
yeah, okay.
handler, God hates the world. You realize how not Christian that is. That's why I thought that was the funniest shit, because it is very not Christian. It shows that they're definitely not a Christian organization there if they can make up a Twitter handler like that.
I'm just saying this. If you're gonna say God hates the world, do me a favor and spell it right. I mean, my spelling is bad, but come on, I don't try to take shortcuts like that. I'm the worst at spelling, but I would not do something like that. I would pick something simple. But yeah, the thing that bothers me is I wasn't even ranting. I'm just calling. You can call it a rant all you want, but I wasn't ranting. I'm just speaking the truth here. The thing that bothers me about this group is that it is just a group that that I can't
Exactly,
believe
see?
out of all that. I'm thinking, okay, I probably think somebody who knows Joan Rivers uploading further will probably just protest the protest because of some of her comedic style that she has. It's controversial, yeah. I heard Westboro, seriously. Yeah, I wish they would try and protest that funeral. Like people was like, why are you protesting? There's no. You do realize she's not even a political advocate, right? You understand that, right? And here's the thing: the majority of Westboro members are family members.
Yeah, and even
Family
some of those
members.
family members have broken off because they're like, screw this shit.
Yeah, I don't get it. Probably Westboro's looking at this right now and saying, "Oh, nobody's looking." But Westboro's
Hey,
probably gonna be
hey,
looking at this saying, "Hey,
hey, if Westboro is looking
why
at
are
this,
why are you hating on us? It's unfair." Oh, goodness.
it's like,
I gotta
Westboro,
say,
why
man,
are you you're
it was,
idiots. Sorry, not
yeah,
sorry.
it's hard, very, very hard. I mean, there are religious organizations that has their views. There's no question that we have a couple up in New York has their views on certain things, and they're gonna stick to their certain grounds. But they do have their limits. I mean, there are certain things they will not go out of their way and do, and this is something that Westboro they go way beyond that. And uh, what made me lose their respect, just in general, was the simple fact is that they protest men and women who have served, protect, and died for this country and their own funeral. And to me, Anybody who does that, I mean, I'm like this. You have the right to protest. I'm not gonna sit there and say you don't have the right, but keep in mind the people you are protesting on, those are the same people who are keeping us the freedom that we got right now. They're the reason why you're protesting in the first place. And regardless of what you may feel about the war or even about some views that goes on in this country, one should never forget the sacrifice that these brave men and women have done. They just so filled with hatred that I think they have just totally forgotten about why these soldiers have died in the first place. You know,
And this. Yeah, I mean, you can not agree with the military, but actual soldiers, actual veterans, they're people. They, for different reasons, they have decided to, fight for us, and they should, be respected for that. It should, I mean, especially when they come back home and, they might have seen things that, fuck them up in the head, and so they're trying to adapt, and they've even, like, they come back and people might not like them, people they decided to serve and protect. And then, like, the government programs for veterans, it's like they just toss aside once they come back home.
yeah, that's a whole different story there, and it's sad that that has been going on. And unfortunately, this is one of the reasons why, because I had family members who have served, but even when I didn't have family members serve, I always have made it my business because I know and this is something that a lot of politicians have done a lot. They make it look like what they're doing it's all like candy. This is going to be everything okay. We're proud of them. Most of these politicians don't even care about the soldiers they're setting out on the battlefield, or the fact that what they've been going through and what they're going to go through after they leave. They don't care, and it's shown when they come back. When they come home? Most of them are broke unless they're staying in the military and continuing on the career of the military. They're coming back with almost nothing. Yeah, they got the college skills. Yeah, they got the training. But what good is it if there's no job for them to take? And that's the whole thing. And that's a whole different story that we can touch on uh, in the near as the weeks go on, because that's something that is gonna be a
So,
topic all by
like, one
itself. And
thing,
I would like to have
yeah,
a
that's
person
like,
if he's still.
and so that's like one of the
Go ahead.
topics that I'll do the same rant like 5 million times for 5 hours if given the chance. And I'm preparing
Yeah,
for old
but
age.
you can understand why. But Westboro to me, there's no love for them. I can't stand them. I really can't. I mean, that's the group that I can't stand. But I might as well just leave them alone because if I continue talking, we'll be here for another hour and 20 minutes. All right, so
Only
moving
have
on,
8 hours.
I have. I'm trying not to make this into let's rant on Westboro Day because I
Okay,
do have a couple
let's.
more stories to talk
Okay,
about.
move on to the next
This story. All right, here's the story that came from the New York Post. This is a story that came actually compelled me to do a miniseries, an Express Yourself miniseries. I do have that blog on
and
maticexpression.com. I will leave a link for those who want to read it. It is a this is a more personal story for me because I went through the system myself for 5 years, and it is something that I was dying to actually talk about, didn't know how. A lot of it had to do with shame. A lot of it had to do with the fact is that it's a much complicated story than one may actually think and believe. But after reading this article here, and actually knowing the system and knowing how long this practice has been going on, I decided let me break it down into different categories. I am going to continue doing that blog. I probably want to talk about this story in a video form unless something new develops because it is something very important. And I don't know how Florida is. I know that Florida has different laws, different rules, so I don't know how their system is done in Florida. I know certain things in Georgia. is done differently because I know somebody in who was in Georgia who was in that situation, how they almost don't even help people out there. And I also know certain things in Hawaii because I actually looked up some of their problems there. Young Turks have talked about it. A lot of media has talked about it, and we are no different than the many states who have done stuff like this um, in the past or right now. And that is the story that is Seek yesterday. The Post, who is a Republican paper, by the way, keep that in mind, have decided to, out of all the mayors, to talk about De Blasio, who, according to the Post, has sent 1,412 homeless packing. Now, for those who don't know what they're talking about, let me explain to you as before I read the article. Explain it to my own words, and I'm gonna read the article a little bit, and then we'll talk any further about this. If you're homeless in the shelter and you've been there for a while, okay, and I'm saying this because this is something that the Post seems to not mention too much about or gloss over. If you have family members that say that lives outside of the state, whether it's in California, Puerto Rico, Texas, Florida, whatever. If you can prove that you have family members that's there and that's willing to care for you, they will give you a ticket. It's a one-way ticket to go to that state and live with your family members. All right, now this practice is nothing new. This was going on even when Giuliani was in office, even when Ed Koch was in office. So this is not something that is just popped out of the blue or something that one mayor just made up. This was always there, but it's been brought to light by the Post. And as much as I question the Post what they're doing, I'm kind of glad that they did talk about this because for a lot of reasons. One, for the past 20 years, at least from my eyes, they have completely ignored the homeless situation to the point where things in New York, in terms of the homeless status, have gotten worse, not better. There is a lot of this have to do with the fact that there's not enough jobs. A lot of this has to do with the fact is that people who are not mentally stable to actually work, let alone have housing, and but most importantly, there are a lot of people who are misplaced because of criminal history, and finally, because frankly, it's not cheap to stay in New York anymore. Two jobs in New York will not cover the expense to live here. That's how expensive it is. There are people that I know that are renting with partners. Like there will be four people renting one apartment, just so they can cover the cost. Apartments here can average anywhere from 1,200 to even as close as $5,000 a month. Okay, so to actually survive in Manhattan alone, you need to have a job that you're making that is almost $300,000 a year. That is not an exaggeration. You will have a better shot of finding an apartment with a married couple or a couple in general than you would as a single person. And if you are a male trying to find an apartment, it's even more tougher. Trust me, gender does play a part in this. But for years now, there has been done solutions that doesn't tackle the issue. They don't want to tackle the issue. Instead, they want to try and go around it. There was reports. This is something that before you even get help from the shelter, you have to prove that you're homeless, that you have nowhere to go. That was
Oh,
shot down by the courts. There was also a proposal that if you're in the shelter, if you're working, you will have to pay rent. Now, the object of you getting a job is to get out of the shelter. Yet they have tried to pose plans to keep you in the shelter. You gotta
what
say you
the?
want something to say. Go ahead.
I,
Go ahead.
okay, so there's a place you go to when you don't have a lot of money that you can't pay for an apartment. And just because you have a job that pays jack all, you have to now pay rent.
Exactly. The that
Okay,
was shot
I'm just
down because
wondering
a lot
where
of
the
even the
logic
home.
is in that. I can't pay for to stay in an apartment. I
There
can
is
totally
none.
pay to stay.
Bloomberg.
I just go. I'm sorry that would send me off for 5 hours. You continue.
No, no, no. This is the thing that a lot of people is outraged. Now, this is Bloomberg, not De Blasio, who did this. Bloomberg is a businessman mayor. That's what he was. He ran New York like a business. So he saw a way to make money for the city. Keep in mind that was the reason to make more money. He said that if they're working and they're making money, they should pay rent to be in the shelter. They're working now. Let them pay rent to stay in the shelter. This was shot down because number one, the object of them getting in the shelter is to seek help and to get out of the shelter, not to keep them in. And that was the biggest issue that's happened because in the shelter system, if you're working, you're supposed to save money, save enough money so when the time does come, you have money to not only rent the apartment, but have to have money to get the furniture and everything else. So that's the object of it. You're supposed to save 60 to 70% of your money, of your income. And for a while, nobody had a problem with that. But then Boomer came up with the idea, let them pay rent, and that was the issue. But there was a whole lot of issues that's going on here. They're doing in the last few years. Thank you for the rest for the nice little doll there. Gave me put a smile on my face. But for the last few years, especially the last 10 years, there were actual programs that was in place that got cut. Now there's hardly any programs at all. I mean, there's hardly anything that anyone could actually have. They had a GD program, they had an educational and a vocational program in these shelters. And in some spots, they do have some programs, but it's a third party that's doing it. But the fact of the matter, the New York City have cut a lot of services on these shelters where the only thing that's left for the shelters have now is you go there, you rest your head, and you got to leave at a certain time. That's it. There's no real legitimate program or system or resources to help people who are in desperate need of help. Unless you're a private shelter, and I got news for you. Not everybody can go to a private shelter. You're pretty much you're pretty much messed up, and that's been the issue. In the meantime, you hear our politicians in New York saying they're going to do this, they're going to help that, they're going to lift people up, they're going to try and get people housing. The reality is they have not done anything, and they're looking to try and avoid to deal with this system. Now, New York is not the only one. A lot of states has been doing what New York is doing, shipping homeless to other states. To me, it doesn't make any sense because you're not helping the problem. You're just shipping the problem to somebody else, and that's exactly what has happened. Um, Let me go and read what the situation here with De Blasio, and then I'll let you comment on here. It says Mayor De Blasio has sent 1,412 homeless people packing since taking office in January, keeping pace with Mayor Bloomberg's bum banishment program, despite lambasting his Republican predecessor homeless policies. The liberal advocate for the homeless New York City of New Yorkers, sorry, let me read this again. The liberal advocate for homeless New Yorkers slammed de Blasio for ignoring his own Tales of Two City campaign rhetoric and to push poor people out of the city. The article also says that he had worked for de Blasio, the guy whose name is Louis without an O, Louis Tejada, which name is these names are really ridiculous.
Yeah, so if
Who
you don't
is
know how to
a
pronounce it,
former
people just comment.
Maribel. Okay, there we go. Maribel Sister Church and Community Center in West Harlem. I work for the Blasio campaign. We expected more of him. This is a big surprise. I don't know why he's just being surprised for. You know how politicians work by now. I'm pretty sure this ain't the first politician you work with. But de Blasio is on a pace to send roughly as many homeless away from Gotham this year as Bloomberg did in his last year when the city Department of Home Services moved 2,280 from the city to their former hometown. Instead of pondering New York's homeless
Bonnie.
problems off to the city, uh, thank you,
Oh,
the New York City homeless problem off to the city, I have no idea what the hell this guy said. Said Hezron should be aggressively targeting landlords who put poor people out of the streets. Now, this has been a forever long battle between those who can barely afford their rent and the landlords who illegally, in some cases, toss people out into the streets. And I say illegally because sometimes they don't follow the laws as supposed to be done. It's illegal to technically throw people out of the home. You have to go to the courts and they have to do it for them. But even with that being said, is that it goes with a bigger, larger scale that the rent in this city where period is just almost impossible to manage. It really is. Um, and it also says here that if he continued to do this, I don't think people will vote for him the next term. The program dubbed Project Reconnect in 2007, when Bloomberg reintroduced it, providing a one-way bus, train, or plane ticket to the homeless people free of charge, if they can show that they have relatives outside of New York they can live with. It's been an extensive. It's been an
In existence.
it's been in existence in different forms as the in existence in different forms as the traveling assistant and homeward bound program. Since Mayor Ed Koch's tenure advocated says it is a far less expensive solution than adding him to the New York generous homeless assistance role. Don't know what that means by that, but let's move on. This is what I like. This is something that really scratched my head here. It says here that it is a compassionate solution that reunites homeless New Yorkers with their loved ones or other siblings house or other stable housing and employment options. This is coming from the Homeless Services spokesman, Christopher Miller. Now, before I continue, do you think this is a good solution or a compassionate solution to the problem?
Well, on one hand, it does give the people, a better place to live, but on the other hand, it's not exactly solving the homeless problem in New York. It's just shoving it off to a different place. So it's like, on one hand, I can see where it's good, but if your whole thing is to solve the homeless problem, this isn't doing it. All it's doing is saying, hey, Florida, hey, Texas, hey, California, you deal with this.
Now, it says here under the Bloombergs, the program cost them no less than $500,000 a year, and the homeless family was sent far away as Paris and South Africa. Wow.
Fuck, I
Paris and
was
South
just
Africa.
thinking the continental U.S., but yo.
Now, I'm going to continue this, but here's the thing that kills me. They can actually find $500,000 to do this program alone. Keep in mind, $500,000 a year. So if you take the tenure for Bloomberg for 12 years, that's almost, how much is that again?
I don't do
Almost like what? Five, like what? $5, $6 million. Now, my question is, wouldn't it just be easier to invest that resource on, education for those in the homeless, those who don't have GED to get GED inside in the shelter, get vocational programming, make sure that they have adequate caseworkers to help assist the homeless, making sure that they're okay, making sure that they have the right paperwork because the documentation is important, especially those who don't have the documents but are legal in this country.
Oh,
All this stuff
look
they
at
could
you,
have
penguin.
done.
Look at you,
Yeah, they
penguin.
figured
Come
the best way to do it.
penguin.
I'm not ranting. I'm not ranting, just to let you know.
I don't know. I'm just
But I
saying
am
that
bringing up a
that's
point.
the reply. Like, oh, you're asking something illogical. Look at, cute. Don't ask, don't ask.
That's exactly what it is, man. I mean, look at this. It says here this, I like when they keep throwing out the numbers from the past, but never throw the numbers from the future, because this is what they said. This New York, the city officials declined to say how much it's costing now, but know that many people in the program head to Puerto Rico, Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. That's not the question they ask. I'm just the same. Now, the article said here that the Baggio did dodge the question Saturday about why he continued the program. His response was very simple. Today was Labor Day, which it was. I was at the parade that time. Today we're here to support workers throughout the city, he said. Other advocating groups such as the Partnership for Homeless, whose presents Arnold Corton, I believe, blasted the program in 2009 for passing the problem from the homeless to another city, were less critical when asked about it under Blasio. He says, honestly, we're trying to work with the Blasio administration. Said Chris, I'm not pronouncing his last name because it's crazy. The group of the vice president of development, and that's pretty much all I have to say here. Again, uh, it seemed like they're willing to try and throw it to anybody else but themselves. Every politician I know has always talked a good game in terms of dealing with the New York City homeless, but they seem to avoid it when they get in the office. They don't know how to deal with it, and they don't know how to deal with it. But in the meantime, while they don't know how to deal with it, they seem to a cut services that is definitely needed to deal with the homeless service in both the educational and vocational level. B, they really truly do not have a legitimate program um, or the right staffing to deal with the clients on an individual basis. And what I mean by that is this. 10 years ago, if you're paying attention,
I'm saying.
had cut, gutted the mental health problems to the point where now people who have serious mental health issues are blended in with the homeless population, and the case managers do not know how to handle that. There are people with serious medical conditions blended in. Yeah,
Talk
blended.
about, okay, listen, I have some mental issues myself. I have Asperger's syndrome, I have clinical depression, I have ADD, but if you're having a guy with schizophrenia, or say you have a multiple
Exactly.
personality disorder, I think it's called MPI, nowadays, and you have like a person there that maybe the majority of their personalities are nice, but then you have one personality that likes to kill people, and then you stick them the same with the homeless. That is not good. And then just with clinical depression alone or bipolar disorder, you have these people that might resort to suicide because they're not getting the proper treatment. And that's just the mental disorders, never
Exactly.
mind any physical
Well,
disorders that you could get.
mhm. And that's been an issue. We don't have almost all of the shelters do not have a 24-hour medical staff on call. Once 4 o'clock comes, or 5 o'clock, or 7 o'clock comes, that's it. They're gone. There's no one else there who can professionally handle a situation, especially someone who you said is schizophrenia. This is a true story. A dude just snapped. They knew he had schizophrenia. They knew that this guy did not belong in the population, but they kept him there because number one, they had nowhere to go. The person who was a supervisor there actually called the shelter, the main office, saying, "Hey, what you doing? You can't put this guy here. He's not. We have no staff to help him." And by the time he tried to get things to try to get rolling to them to transfer him out, he attacked somebody with a chair. Literally knocked him out. He was sent to the hospital, and they had to transfer him that same day. This is the problem that's been going on, and they have not learned from the problem. You can't mix everybody with the same situation, especially if you don't have the staff. Another reason, another problem, I'll give you another example of this, is we had a person who was on dialysis come to the shelter, and the head supervisor literally had to call the paramedics to keep sending him out the shelter for not because he was being mean to him, but because they send him there knowing there was no doctors on call 24 hours. And the guy told him on the phone, "You can't bring this guy here. There's no way we can treat this guy because He's constantly he needs to have a doctor on call. He needs to have a medical staff in case something happens. You know what they told the supervisor?
Something extremely stupid.
They told the supervisor, "Well, you got an elevator, right? Don't he have a doctor down the street?" There is no of a lot of the other people they're supposed to help. And it reflects a lot on not just the homeless shelter I experienced with, but this homeless situation in general. There is a very nasty, very unprofessional way of how they are dealing with with the homeless population. And I'll give an example of how they deal with the homeless population. If you're homeless, this is the steps they want you to do. Go out, look for a job, save money, report every 2 weeks to your case manager. We'll do the paperwork to see if we can give you single room occupancy. That's it. That's the routine that they do. Basically, you're on your own when you're on the shelter system because you're not going to get help from the case managers who are supposed to help you.
Jeez. Then why the
And
fuck are they
if you're
there?
a male, but that's the thing. All right, a lot of the people who are homeless, who you see on the streets, who sleep on the streets, don't want to go there because of the situation that is going right now. Either they feel it's unsafe, or they're not going to get the help anyway, and that's been a huge problem. And to even further this, I got to be fair. If you're a family or a woman with children, some men in shelters are looked down upon badly. All right, they look at them as, "What are you doing? You're a strong, healthy man. Why you ain't going out there and working?" Forget about the fact that that person may have a mental health issue that you are not addressing or you're not screening for. Forget about the fact that that person may have a health issue that prevents him from working. Forget about the fact that the man may have a criminal felony, which plays a huge part. I said this in the blog, if you have a felony of any kind, it is 10 times harder for them to place you in proper housing. If you have a SO, I've said these all play into the factors of the homeless population. All right, and these are the things that need to be looked at, need to be resolved, need to to really be looked face to face, not just ignoring and say, "Oh, the guy's too lazy." This is the point where I say that they don't look at each client on an individual basis. They look at them all the same, all
Fuck
of them,
that shit.
and they don't help them. They don't help them. They always send them to somewhere else, whether it's back to work programs or what program that the HRA want to send them. But it's an endless cycle, and the one main reason is a business. They get a lot of money for each person who lives in a homeless shelter. It's a business. It's a business. They get a lot of money for that. So they'll milk it for much as possible. And after 6 months, 6 months, you got 6 months to be in a shelter in New York City. They'll transfer you to guess what? Another shelter. And then 6 months and then after that you got to start the process all over again. So there's people who get transferred from shelter to shelter to shelter, never really getting the help they want, and they just completely lost. This is the problem that they need to deal with. I left you speechless, didn't I?
And I'm just like, stupid, 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 stupid. England.
Like I said, that's the best way I can tell you. But what's really present for
What?
a homeless situation? How do they deal with it?
I don't know. I don't really
Do they?
keep up with the news that much. I tend to block everything out a lot of the time, so I sadly don't know about how the homeless is treated over here, but it's probably not paradise for them. I was like,
Well, I'll tell you, it's definitely not paralyzed over here. I mean, the situation is bad. We got the squeegees coming back in New York. We haven't seen a squeegee guy in years, and they're making a comeback. It is bad, and to me, until they actually are serious in dealing with the homeless situation, um, it's going to get worse. It's going to get much worse because they're not really trying to focus on that. They're trying to focus on ways of not dealing with it, and that's not the answer they need to do with. They're just not. It's not what they should be doing. And here's how you know. I forgot the guy who said this. This is how you know they really don't want to deal with it. A guy said it is not against the law to be homeless in New York. I'm like, that's not the point we're asking you. We're asking you, what do you plan to do? What is your plans to deal with people who are homeless? And you faded from the camera.
yeah, I just started. It's too much stupid. It's like, hey, it's not illegal. We're not asking that. We want it to be solved, you little fuckers.
But that's what we got right now. I mean, we have people who who just don't want to deal with it. And Bloomberg was a perfect example. Bloomberg, after a while, after all the programs he tried to do that didn't deal with the situation, but make situation a little bit worse, we just said, I'm just not going to talk about it. I'm just going to pretend it doesn't exist because I'm not going to stop people from making as much money as they can. And that's exactly what he did. He didn't acknowledge it at all. And that's what people were really at. Was angry because he was just squeezing out the middle class out of the city, and not really dealing with affordable housing. It took him a long time before um, he dealt with affordable housing in his city.
Hmm, fuck it. It's like,
So that's the thing that's been going on. That's what I wanted to bring up. Um, and yeah, it's been a struggle living in the city. The city is beautiful, it's great, but don't let it fool you. They do have problems on the surface, and I'm gonna say this for any mayor, or whether De Blasio or the new mayor, or if he don't get elected 4 years on the road, you can only ignore it for so much before it becomes a serious hassle, a serious problem. Because one of the things that has happened in the 80s were there were a lot of people who was homeless with mental issues, and it resulted in some tragedies they don't want to repeat, and that can actually happen. All right, you can easily tell when someone is not all there, just by the way they walk, just how the way they go about things. And I always say to my advice to a lot of people, especially those who approach those who are homeless, I said just be careful, keep your distance. You don't know that person can snap or not. All right, because you don't know where how big in the head is. You want to be careful. You want to protect yourself. You want to help. I'm not saying not help, but be mindful of that person's movement because God knows he can snap and out of nowhere.
yeah.
And with that, I like
With that
to
lovely news,
move on because you look like you're about to destroy the TV screen over here.
I'm not going to destroy. I'm going to
All right,
pulverize
see,
it. There's a
this is the stuff I
difference.
want to talk about. All right, so we might as well just go with the. I'm gonna do a little early because I'm not ending the show just yet, but I'm gonna go with the top box office. It has been probably the most quietest box office weekend I remember in recent memory. There was absolutely nothing other than the fact of the movies we had talked about, and we almost didn't find that last week. And kind of surprising, a lot of critics didn't find that they couldn't find the movie that came out this week either.
The
Um,
identical?
Double Toasted did a review. I actually liked it. It was actually hilarious about the identical. Um, Needless to say, it didn't get good reviews. It did premiere,
It said
but
number
hardly
11
anybody knew it
showed
actually
on
came
his
out.
page.
Oh, really? Well,
Yeah.
we'll talk about that because it did premiere this week. So we'll talk about those from this week. Um, let's get started. We're gonna start with number five. Number five was November Man. Number five, which is kind of surprising, it was actually that number six. It moved from number six to number five, moving down as above, so below, which we know we cannot expect that to happen. It made $4,200,000 this week. That brought their total up to 17 million. I don't know the cost of this movie, but from what I understood, it actually did a pretty good amount. I believe they made their money back. Uh, Number four,
Let's
and that
speak
was number
up.
five last week. Yes, which I'm kind of surprised they made money because I saw the post. I didn't think there's no way nobody's gonna see this movie. I guess I was wrong. It made $5.4 million this week. This is their fourth week, so they've been out the month. Their budget was only 17 million. They made 66 million, so this is considered to be a big hit.
Oh
Um,
God.
the soap opera Lifetime movie channel, If I Stayed, was
Three.
number three. It was number three. Yep, it was number three last week, so it stayed in their rankings. It brought in an extra 5.7 million dollars. Um, it has made $39 million to date. It only cost $11 million, so that's also been a hit. Um, so far, nobody seemed to be able to take down the Turtles. The Turtles are now number two. They was number two last week, number two this week. They got an extra $6 million. That's already given them $174 million. It made them. It made a. Their budget was 125 million according to this page, and it is a hit. But I'm kind of surprised it's not as much of a hit as it is. I know they're gonna make a sequel, but I expect it to be around 200 million by now, and this is their fifth week. So obviously, not as much as I thought it would be, but it still made some money. It made Michael Bay and company very happy. And the number one film again. I think it's the third week in a row that it's number one, Guardian of the Galaxy, and
Sorry.
it made.
That cheer turned into a stretch. If you ever wonder what I
Guardian.
stretch like, that's okay.
I only was actually happy that the film was stayed in number one. Let's keep it honest. Before I give the amount of the money here, what competition did they really have this weekend? There was none.
No, there
Of course,
was
it's gonna be number
nothing to
one.
battle
There was
against.
nothing here to take them out. And in first place, again,
Hello?
$10 million they made total. 10.1 if you want to put it, which is kind of they made double-digit money each and every week, even though they finally starting to go down. They ain't going down by much. So their total gross right now to date is $294 million. That's not including the international ticket sales, which is going to be pretty up there. So it's been a huge, huge blockbuster smash. This film cost $170 million to make. It's been in theaters for 6 weeks. So we can safely say Guardian of the Galaxy, a movie that a lot of people consider to be a absolute bomb, became the most greatest hit of the summer. And that is a big. It's going to bring a big smile to everybody's faces here.
I did.
So let's talk about the films that didn't make the top five. As your notes, as above, so below.
Oh,
That made $300 million, but it still made its money. When the game stands
it's
tall, surprisingly made its money back. Yep.
as
Go ahead, I'm
above, so
listening.
below. It's a found footage movie, and I don't really like. I don't tend to like those, so I can see why it, didn't do too well because it's a found footage horror movie. But I might check it out on
Hey,
DVD or Blu-ray, but I feel like no need to go spend my money, actually other people's money, to see it in theaters. I don't have my own
well, well, it
paycheck.
made its money back. It made its money, so it doesn't really care. When the game stands that was total. Um, it only cost them 15 million to make, so they made a good chunk change here. The 100-foot journey was number nine. It was number nine last week. It's been in theaters for 5 weeks. That was one of the films.
Yeah, the Giver was
Lucy,
number 8.
it was number nine for what I was seeing.
Eight,
We
The
have Lucy
Giver.
that dropped down. Oh, I'm sorry. The Giver. Damn,
The
I
Giver.
actually forgot that was there.
Yes.
The Giver. Um, the Giver is only it made 3.5 million. It made 37 million. It made its money. It's good. Okay, now here's the identical. Now this is a very, very weird film because I think it's been out on both on demand and on, which doesn't make any sense. If you're gonna put it on demand, just keep it on demand. Don't put it in theaters and then on demand. Um, it made 1.9 million dollars. I do not know the budget of this movie. It had a lot of good star cast. It had terrible reviews. Some say it was just not structured. It was not story written well at all. And the guy who supposed to be the Elvis lookalike was horrible at it. So, Expendable 3 dropped down dramatically. They only made $36.7 million. This has been a bomb, so I'm safe to say that we're not going to see a Expendables 4. They are talking about a spinoff, but we'll talk about that next week because I want to save that because it's connected with another spinoff, which I think James Daniel Wolf would not going to be too happy about. I didn't talk to him about this, but I know he's not going to be happy about it. I know he's going to be upset about it because he wanted to see Ghostbusters 3 so badly, and they may make it, but it will be an all-female cast. So I don't know how he's going to
You're
react to
mad
that.
about an all-female Ghostbusters cast?
Yep,
Who
maybe
is?
an all-female Ghostbusters cast, and
I know, but
if
you
I
said
know
it's
James,
all.
he's not going to be happy about it.
Why not? It's like, okay, we're just gender
Go ahead.
bend. The whole thing with gender bending is to show that, that gender doesn't really make up that, doesn't make a cool character less cool. I mean, as long as they get a good female cast, to play everyone, there's not going to be a problem. And of course, that they have a good script. Oh. It'd be
Well,
interesting.
I'm not mad about it. I'm not mad about it. Like I said, next week we're going to be talking about that because there's actually um, there's actually talk about the Expendables. That's a fee. That's gonna be expendable with all women.
I know. I
Enron did a
knew
good job.
the
Of
title there.
the block.
Expendable.
hmm Uh, hey, I'm not saying anything about the title, but I am curious. He
Stupid.
did bring a all cat. He did a casting couch. The Blockbuster Buster did a casting couch about it, and his choice. I gotta say, I'm actually saying if they do that, what he just suggested, that would be an awesome movie because let's be honest, the veterans that they picked for that are is perfect, especially if they
Who
can get
did they
Sigourney
pick?
Weaver as one of the main stars. Huh?
What? Who did the Blockbuster Buster choose uh, on his casting couch thingy?
He, I remember a few of them. He picked Sigourney Weaver, Glenn Close. Um, I don't know if he picked the girl from Resident Evil. It would probably make sense because she does a lot of good action.
Yeah, she does.
I don't know if he picked Kate Bacon. So I'm gonna relook it again, but his list of choice makes sense. It's almost like, yeah, I'll watch it. I'll watch it
I
just
would
on
actually
Sigourney
like
Weaver
to.
alone. I mean,
Yeah,
she is one of the strong female characters.
I would actually be
Yep.
liking to see
So,
Summer Glau just to see her in a role where she kicks ass again. She did a great job in Terminator Sarah Connor Chronicles as the good Terminator there. She did an excellent fighting job as River Tam in the Firefly TV series as well as the movie Serenity. So she can kick ass. She's not just a pretty
well,
face. She
I
can,
know,
yeah.
well, I know that that he picked Linda Hamill, the original Sarah
Oh
Connor.
yeah.
I said yes,
Sorry.
that would be great.
Sorry, I'm a little Sarah Connor fangirl.
will
Well,
definitely do that.
yeah,
So
okay,
we're gonna
I'll
be talking
watch that
about that
movie
next
now.
week. So so they are talking about that, and I don't know what the Ghostbusters. I too want one thing though. We gotta talk about. We gotta do a special podcast because summer's over. I'm gonna be re-looking at every film that made money and every film that didn't. Um, wow, how bad was this film? This was a total disaster. Remember what I told about Frank Miller's Sin City?
Oh no, I don't. That was like one of the most amusing things last week. Yes, I do.
Well, it's been out. Theaters been pulling. Theaters been pulling this left and right. Now this is the This is the third week that this movie been in theaters. This may be the last week it's gonna be in theaters. Frank Miller's Sin City, A Dame to Kill For. Well, I think it killed this franchise because this film only made $689,000. Its total so far is 12 million. This is a $70 million movie. Can we now say it's been a bomb? Can we say it now? I know
Listen, I
my
don't
friend
think.
of mine out there who saw it said it's
Listen,
not a
John
bomb.
Hurley. I think bomb is too light of a term for what the shit just went down.
I am stunned. I am really stunned that this movie did that badly in the box office. I am really stunned. I did not expect that to happen. I mean, I did not expect them to do so poorly. And I know I'm not even going to blame Frank Miller. I know he was the part director, but I can't even blame him. I don't. I like to hear the people who saw this movie give me their honest opinion on this. I like the people who just say what they have to say and give their word. I am planning to see this movie eventually, but I like to hear what it was that turned a lot of people off. Because normally, if the word of mouth is strong enough, the ticket sales go up. There was no word of mouth on this other than the critics and the reviewers on YouTube talking about this movie, and it was pretty mixed. But this is just sad. I mean, this is a film that was supposed to be the last great hurrah for the box office. And now it's like, oh, Guardian guy's gonna stay here. And by the way, who are you? Get out. So I don't know what to say about that. Uh, I really don't. But it happened. I mean,
It
sometimes you have
happened.
those movies. I mean, what can I say?
It happened.
I mean, there are films I'm still surprised it didn't make money, but this was one of them. I didn't expect the film to be great. I didn't expect the film to be have a strong storyline because of the way it was structured, but I did expect the film to make money. I did expect the film to drew at least 80 or 90 million, or even 100 million. I did not expect the film to be in the 20 millions after 4 weeks. That's just something I never even expect. I can't. That's something I can't even fathom. Um, uh, I I guess I was wrong. I mean, I gotta tell you. Uh, movie releases. We're gonna talk about that for a moment. But what movies have you seen so far? I'd like to give a recommendation for our fans that will see this later on today.
Let's see. I didn't go out to the movie theaters, which is per usual. I was
Hmm.
going to do Friday, but for another one reason or not, I didn't. But saw Divergent last night, which I also saw in theaters. So it's a decent enough
How was
adaptation.
that?
It was a decent enough adaptation of the first book in the series. What? You're surprised I can just pull. You're surprised I can just reach down and get a book.
Okay. Oh, that's yeah. I mean, you kind of know with that. Okay. Now that's not the Hunger Games ripoff, is it?
Oh fuck!
That's not the Hunger Games ripoff, is it? You're
There
gonna
are
surprise again, ain't you?
there are five factions, and you are sorted into each faction depending on what quality you have. Like, amity is peaceful, abnegation is selfishness, dauntless, blah, blah, blah. Candor, fuck, I'll start listing them off. But anyways, you're chosen and then you're sorted into them. You choose. And if
Hmm.
you're divergent, you're suited for more than one faction without, like, giving any spoilers away.
Okay.
But it's you could call it a Hunger Games ripoff because it's also young adult. It's also a dystopian novel. It also features a female protagonist. It's like,
Okay.
yeah, that's okay. And then you could also, say it's a ripoff of Harry Potter because you're sorted into factions instead of houses. So sorry, it's just when, like,
So
people have, like, something that's only slightly similar and says, "Oh, isn't that like this?" Fuck you. I mean, they were saying that, like, Twilight's the new Harry Potter. Fuck you, bitches.
oh god.
You unleashed the Kraken. I hope you're happy.
I guess you didn't like the book.
What?
Alright, and I guess you didn't like the book.
I like Divergent.
How many
I
are
like
there, by the
Hunger
way?
Games. The movie is a decent adaptation. They did a good job for it.
All I keep hearing from fans of movies is this is the Hunger Games. I'm
Fuck
sure this is the Hunger
you,
Games. That's all they
assholes! You're
keep
the
telling me. I'm
same
like,
assholes that go, "Oh, this is either the worst movie ever or the best movie ever." That's not how ratings work.
well,
You can
to
be
be
in the
fair,
middle.
the movie that you mentioned did not had a bad review. I mean, it hadn't had a great review, but it didn't have a bad review. It's just a lot of people just said this reminded them a lot about the Hunger Games. That's all they just keep on saying. I mean, it's like that movie, that Christmas film about a dog, and there was no dog in that movie. That's exactly how I got from them, from that movie. But who knows? I probably will take a look at it on DVD. I'm not gonna say I'm gonna like it, but
No,
I'll give it a shot. I mean,
it's decent.
it's
If you like the movie, I would definitely suggest reading the books because the first two books in the series, Divergent and Insurgent, are just beyond awesome. Allegiant is decent, but doesn't really measure up to the first two. And I haven't read the little spin-off stories either from Forrest's point of view.
okay. I understand. Well, my wait now. If it makes you feel better, a lot of people say that the Hunger Games is ripped off of Battle Royale, and I haven't seen
Oh
that.
God,
So,
shit. I've heard the arguments. I haven't seen Battle Royale yet. I probably will try to in the future. But from people who have, like, debunked it being a ripoff of that, like, just pointing out the differences, like, I guess Battle Royale is a little more cheesy than the Hunger Games or something, and there's differences.
I've seen the trailer to Battle Royale. There's nothing cheesy about the battle scenes that
I
they
can't.
show right there.
I
I
need to
mean,
re-see the
it is
video
bloody.
and read the posts. And as I said, I haven't seen the movie. I just, like, heard someone, like, getting pissed off at the people were comparing it to the Hunger Games.
Well, you're gonna have that when, especially when it's like kids fighting to the death. So what can you tell you?
Yeah. All kids find to death.
All
I
right,
know
hey,
some
we
people
have.
are, like, against. Don't really think,
Hmm.
like movies like Children of the Corn, where children are the enemy. They're like, "Oh, children can't be creepy." And, like, have you seen a kid? It's
I'm
like,
gonna leave that one alone. A lot of people will say, "How dare you say that to my son?"
oh,
All
Trinidad,
right, we have
like,
the November
walking.
12th release films.
Okay. I'll keep on going on about creepy kids if you don't shut me up.
um, I guess you didn't see the movie Orphan.
See what movie? Orphan? Oh,
Orphan.
no,
Yes, you
I
did.
haven't. I might. Just because I think they're creepy doesn't mean I won't see a horror movie about them. Because if there's something that creeps me out, I'll see a horror movie about it. Because I know even if it's bad, I'll still be scared.
That was actually a good movie, though. I actually like it. Which, uh, I was actually the child actors there was actually pretty damn good. I'm hoping they actually did something else after. I know the other girl who played in the Hunger Games. She was in the film off. She was the main star. So I'm glad she's doing other stuff because she's definitely good. She's definitely a good actress. Okay, we're now approached that time where we got to talk about films that are hit and miss. And unlike last week where we couldn't find any movies, there are a lot of movies that's coming out this week for November, almost said November, September 12th, 2014. And we'll start off with No Good Deed. This is a film that's been very heavily promoted. It stars Idris Alba, Lindsay Bibb, Kate D. Castellano, and I can't pronounce her name, um, Tieka Jada P. Hernison. You will correct me when you see the film, I'm sure. The film is
Okay.
rated PG-13. It's an 84 minute film. It is a thriller, and according to the description, for those who want to know, Terry is a devoted wife and mother of two living the ideal suburban life in Atlanta when Colin, a charming but dangerous escaped convict, shows up in her door claiming car trouble. Why does that always seem to be the cliche of these films? Terry offers her phone to help him, but soon learns that no good deed goes unpunished as she finds herself fighting for survival when he invades her home and terrorizes her family. And this is PG-13. So, um,
Hang on. What that? Okay.
somebody called you?
Oh, that's Dad. I think you're going
I'll wait.
golfing.
Okay, there you go.
I think. Okay, we're fine.
Okay. Hope we wins the golf game. All right. All right. So I'm gonna say this. This has to be a hit because again, this is a film that was promoted in the middle, not middle, beginning of July. I've seen posters of this. I've seen people talking about this. There are fans who love Lucius Alba. Alba, who was supposed to be the next James Bond. Yeah, they actually thought of him being the next James Bond.
That'd be
Um,
fucking
is
awesome.
is a very so they buried a lot of people who really likes his performances, his acting. I don't know if this film's gonna be highly praised by critics because again, if you read the
No.
description, it sounds cliche.
It's just cliche.
It sounds
I
like The
just love
Hitchhiker. That's what it
I
sounds
just
like.
love the ideal suburban life, and then shit happens. It's like
Yes, it happens. So that's what I get. The
paraphrasing it.
director is Sam Miller. So so this is a film that has been highly pushed, more pushed than some of the other films that's out here because some of them are limited releases and one is a family film. But we'll get to those. But No Good Deed I consider to be a hit. Whether it be number one, I don't think it's going to be number one, but I do think it's going to be one of the top five, and I do believe it eventually will make its money back. It is a film that definitely uh, will do good when it comes down there. I'm going to make a prediction. This is something I didn't do last week. I'm going to predict the first weekend results will be $14 million. That's how much I think it's going to make. It's going to make 14 million, and then it will probably make about 9 million more the following week. But I do think it's going to have a strong 14 million to start off. And I'm going to predict. I want you to write this down because you probably going to say I'm just wrong in all accounts. I think it's going to finish number three. What's your feeling?
I think he'll be lucky to get 5. I mean, I think the opening week might be strong just because the main actor, has a nice little following, but then people will see it and go, oh, it's fucking crap, and then it will quickly die out. Or at least, be.
So your prediction.
I'm
You
not
don't
good
think it's gonna be a double-digit movie?
with money. I'm not really good. It's like a really foreign concept for me. I mean, I've never had to hold a job. I've never had to have my own apartment. I never had to really deal with it. I actually have to get other people to make sure I don't screw shit up.
Yeah,
So
but
I can't
that.
predict how
Wait,
much
wait,
money it'll make.
wait. I didn't say all that. I just said how much you think it's gonna make. I mean,
I know
you can
I
take a wild
can't.
guess. You can say it makes more
I
million. It
can't
doesn't really matter.
because it's like asking me to predict how much money it will make is like asking a blind person how the sunset looks tonight.
All right, so fine. Give me a hit or miss.
It's a
You think
miss.
this film will be a hit or a miss when all is said and done?
A
Wow,
miss.
you have no
I
faith in this movie.
I just think like maybe the first day or two will
Well,
do
we're gonna
well.
find out.
Then it'll go.
So you think it's gonna make a lot of money in the first week, but it's gonna die down quickly in the second week? Okay, that's
Yeah,
fair. That's your opinion. I'll keep on to this. This
I'll
is
be
my mess right
back.
here. All right, this is my mess right here. I am stunned. I said this before last week. I said this before when we was off the air. I am stunned they made a sequel to this. When I saw the poster to this movie, I did not expect this movie to come out. Dolphin Tales 2 will be released on September 12th. It is PG, 107 minutes, actually longer than Golga Deed.
Hey,
It
hey,
is
look,
considered a drama and
hey, here's the
family.
preparation
Uh,
for it.
okay, again, I mean,
If we film this later in the day, I would like take a shot for every stupid thing said. But it's only like 3 p.m.
okay,
here, and it's not drinking time.
yes. Well, like I said, Dolphin Tales 2. This is a sequel to the original Dolphin's Tale, which I didn't even think it made any money. Um, it says here a team of people who save a winter's life. I think that's the name of the dolphin from the first one. I had to stop and think. Okay.
Anyone who's watching this, comment below and tell us what the fuck happened to the first Dolphin Tales movie because we don't know.
Look, I'm being honest. I was not going to spend my money on a film. I mean, I spend the one time I spend money on a film related to ocean was Free Willy. I learned my lesson then. I'm not going to see the movie yet after that. But a team of people who saved Winter's life assembled in the wake of her surrogate mother's passing in order to find her a companion so she can remain in the Clearwater Maine Marine Hospital. That's it. Wow, this is gonna be excellent. That's gonna be heart
This
pounding.
is awesome. Hey, okay.
I don't know
Hey,
what to
hang
tell
on.
you.
Give me a sec. I have a prop. Give me a sec.
She's going. Like I said, in the next few weeks we'll be doing probably a hit and miss for for not only this podcast but probably just as a blog as well at manexpression.com. And that will be
Uh,
probably be done before the end of September when we get all the numbers
okay, the
together.
prop.
So
Prop.
look for that real soon. You had to bring that, did you? You had to bring Flipper into this. Why did you bring Flipper into this? Flipper's like, I don't want nothing to do with this. I can't. I have my movie. All right.
Sorry, we're
Now,
like Dolphin's
this
tail.
movie, this movie is directed by Charles Martin Smith. Now look at the star power they have in this movie. They got Morgan Freeman, Ashley Judge, Nation Gamble, and some guy I can't pronounce his name. Cozy. I'm saying is Cozy, son Isaloff. That's the best I can do. Okay. This is a film that's coming out this week. Look, I'm happy that they're making more family films. I'm happy they're making more live family films that are PG or G related. But I just don't see this movie making money unless this film made. It only cost them 15 million to make, and they made like 20 million the first week off. I think this film's gonna struggle. I will say they do have a chance because there isn't that much coming out this week, and you'll see when I go down the list. I'm not going to talk about all the films, but I'm going to go down the list. But nevertheless, I didn't know the first one made money. I got to look this up on Wikipedia.
No, it just sort of
Matter of fact, that's
came and
exactly what I'm going to
went.
do.
I think this is going
Yeah,
to.
it's not that I wanted to, but
I
go
think
ahead. I'm
Dolphin's
listening.
Tale 2. I mean, we didn't think the first Dolphin's Tale went anywhere, so the second one might be a surprise and get a third one. Oh, fucking.
They
Just that
got a
it
third one.
got
If
a
look,
sequel.
I had to suffer for. Mhm.
Just because I would love to just downright say this is
Look,
going to be a fail, a miss, but the thing is, the first one got a sequel, which means this one might get a sequel, and I have lost all faith in humanity.
I don't know. Like I said, it has a chance. I'm not gonna say they don't have a chance because, like I said, they are not against. They're not facing anything.
Hmm.
I'm telling you right now. If you look at next week, I see Gone in the Galaxy being number one again. Don't see how any way, shape, or possible that Gone in the Galaxy is gonna get knocked down. Gone in the Galaxy is gonna be number one again. It just has that feeling of being number one. But I'm gonna fuck up the first one because I gotta know how much this film cost them to make. So okay, before I even go down the other list, because I'm still I'm still bugged out. I'm like, really? The first one made money? I didn't even know. I know Morgan Freeman was in the first one, so they're being consistent with some of the stars. Because I know Morgan Freeman, he performed his roles as Lucius Fox in Batman and Dark Knight. Only he was helping the dolphin get an artificial tail. So that much I know. But I didn't know. I honestly didn't think it did that good to warrant it. And if they did make a sequel, it'd probably be like direct to DVD or something. But while this loads, oh, here we go. Here we go. I like they got the same poster they did last time. They just changed it.
I know, it was so
You
slight.
know something? I just don't want to. There goes Morgan Freeman, nice smiling face. Oh wow!
What?
Oh my God! Okay, here's what it says here. This movie cost them $35 million to make. Guess how much they made total?
Fuck it, just tell me.
Take a gander.
I don't want to.
$95.4 million. You want me to repeat that for you?
No! No one fucking remembers it. And yet it made money.
I didn't even know they made that much money. 95 million. I mean, oh my God, that's insane.
Oh,
I didn't know people were like, wow. And here's the thing: it was shot in 3D. Now this movie was shot in 3D. Now I don't know if this one's in 3D. I didn't bother looking at it. That's kind of weird. It's not in 3D. The first one was in 3D. The
the
second one's not.
the 3D could have accounted for it being making money because 3D tends to, cost more when you go to the movie theater.
The 3D re-release was the same release of Lion King and Moneyball, and it still made money. The film was a positive review. It has 82%, so a lot of people did like this movie. It had a Young Artist Award. It was nominated for Best Performance in a Feature Film, Young Actor Nathan Gamble, and some guy I can't pronounce his name. They're both going to be in the second one, so this is definitely going to be it. Uh, I am I can't believe it made that much money.
Fuck it.
You know what it's sad? I'm not even mad. I'm actually impressed. A family film that dedicated to the animals like that, I'm impressed. I can't be mad at it. I think that's actually kind of cool. I'm not, I don't know how the movie was, so I can't say it was good or bad, but just the fact that it made $95 million just for a family film that's PG-ish, I gave it credit because not many PG films make that much money anymore. It really don't. So, like it or not, this is why they made Dolphin Film too.
I
I
can
think it
tell.
made money. Obviously, I was wrong. Obviously, I was wrong. Except now, what was that?
That was a cough.
Oh, okay. I thought you was making dolphin noise. I said because I had switched tabs there because I can look at the. I didn't know what he was doing.
That's, I coughed.
All
That's
right, we
one of the
got some
reasons
limited
going to
releases.
the doctors.
There's a lot of limited releases here. Some of them you probably, I'll take it back, probably none of them you heard of. So I'm just gonna stroll down to them because I pretty much doubt they're gonna be in theaters, especially when it's not rated. But here are some of the limited releases if you are a art house film buff. One is called The Dope. That has a limited release. It is rated R. It is 106 minutes. It is a crime drama. This is set to be released this week. The Skeleton Twins, also a limited release. It's rated R, 93 minutes. That is a drama. Also, we have The Disappearance of Eleanor Rigby. I have no idea what this is based upon. I don't know if it's a true story or not, but it is a 122-minute drama. That is also released. Also, we have Elias Shrug, who is
At,
John Galt. I don't know
oh,
myself. It is a mystery. Go ahead.
Atlas Shrugged.
Oh, you heard about this movie?
No, it's based on a
Yes,
book, a
you heard
really
about it.
famous book. It's basically the Republican conservative Bible.
Okay, tell me about it because I'm actually curious.
I've never read
Let's see
it.
if you heard about it. I didn't.
I haven't read it yet. It basically fuck. Hang on. Sorry, Flipper.
You got that book, man.
Hang on. It
You got
seems
that
like
book.
it's this big, like a collection of all three of those. I mean, it's a little bit short, but maybe by way less than half, and the print is small. And
Okay.
yeah, let's see. I fucking don't really know that much about it. I saw the first movie, and I don't think the first movie, made that much money, but for some fucking reason they made a second one.
So this is not the first film.
Um, I'd have to double check, but I don't think it is.
Okay, so I'm gonna get me some to do some research myself. Well, this is coming
Who
out this
is
week.
John Galt? That's
You
the
definitely got allergies.
subtitle. Who is John Galt is the
Hmm.
subtitle.
Well, this one is PG-13. It's a drama. Yes, yes, that is it.
Yeah, it's basically this
It's a
rail.
2014 release coming out this week, and it is PG-13.
Yeah, it's there's railroads. They didn't
Go ahead.
update the content of the novel and kept it with railroads.
Okay.
So
That got me curious because this is the first time I heard of it.
there
It is
was
an art house movie, of course, so I doubt I'm going to see much about it. Mhm. All right, the next one is called Bird People. It is a 1 hour, 27-minute film. It's a drama, fantasy, and romance. So we got to blend up all three together in one. The next one is called SwearNet the Movie. It is coming. It is a comedy that is 112 minutes long. And this is pretty much. I heard a little bit of this. Um, it's pretty much the radio airwaves, and censorship. So that's what film is coming out on the release. Another limited release coming out. This one I know is playing in one of the theaters in Central Park. My Old Lady. This is a film that will be coming out as well. It's a 104 minutes. It's a comedy drama. And we got two more films that's coming out as limited releases. The Green Prince. This is a film that's on PG-13, 95 minutes. It's a documentary, drama, and thriller. So that's the film that's also going to come out in art house theaters. I Am 11, also going to be released this week. It is a documentary biography. It is 93 minutes long. And the last film that's going to be released as a limited release, Honeymoon, which is a 87 a minute film, and that is a horror film. So we have a lot of art house films that's going to be coming out um, this week. And for those who don't know, this is very important that I mention is when these films are limited, they're 95% going to be released on art house theaters. Art house theaters, there ain't that many in New York, but those who are, I advise you to check them out. There's a lot of good movies that goes under the radar. I'm not saying any of the films that I just read here may be good or bad, but you'll be surprised how many good art house films become masterpieces. In fact, a lot of films in the last few years has been became cult classics and have been recognized so much that they actually have been recognized by the Academy. Um, 12 Years a Slave is not a major movie release. It was an art house film. It won for Best Picture and have really put a stamp on even the African directors who, let's face it, has not been recognized too much by the Academy. And the fact that this film have done what it did is actually did good. Also, and I don't know if you ever heard of this movie, Pan's Lazarus.
Labyrinth, yeah.
Ever heard of that
Pan's
movie?
Labyrinth, it was done by Guillermo del
That
Toro,
is
the
that is
same
an
person who's in charge of doing The Strain, who also did Hellboys 1 and 2.
mhm mhm. So that's a film that was an
Actually,
art house
I
film,
saw
and it
Pan's
became
Labyrinth,
a, the,
and, I saw the
mhm.
majority of the Hellboy movies, and that's one reason I was really excited for The Strain, because I was really excited to see what Guillermo del Toro would do next. Sorry, I was actually
Well, you know
dozing
what?
off there, but you said his name
He
like, really?
surprised a lot of people. Mhm.
Like, oh, dozing.
So that's the thing about art house films. Now, I will give you guys advice because I know certain states their art house films it varies. They're not all over the place. Many places don't promote the films of art house movies, which they should because there are a lot of great classics. To find an art house movie or get the listing, the first thing you want to do is do what I do. Just check the listings of stuff. Anytime you see limited, or anytime when you see a non rating or a specific studio, you pretty much know that's an art house film. To look for a listing, just type in art house through either Google, type in the state that you're in, the zip code that you're in, and you will have a couple of theaters that's done. Some of the theaters will blend in. Now, I will give you a fair warning on this. There's a reason why a lot of art house films are demographic ages from 30 to 40 to 50 to 60 years old. A lot of films, even animation, are not meant with kids in mind. Sometimes they won't allow a child in the theater, period, depending on the film. So, and that's largely because a lot of films are either NC-17 or not rated, but they do have an idea of what that film is. So when you go look for these films, the first thing you want to do is find out if any subject matter, especially with an NR rating, you want to go and look up all the stuff that contained because they even though it's not rated, it is by law now, and papers do this a lot. They will tell you exactly what is in the film. So when you go there, you don't be surprised where the Ticketmaster guys are going to say you can't go in this theater. So always look for that first. But support these movies because a lot of these art house films are independently made. Some of them actually take years to make. Some of them have even more heart and more compassion than some of the blockbuster films we have seen over the years, and they're done with a lot of conviction. A lot of these directors are first-time directors. Some of these guys are trying to make it into the business. Even though we still have to see a lot of star power coming in, there are a lot of films that you see that's overseas, whether it's in the Spanish lands or in France or in Europe. These films have a lot more heart, a lot more story to tell, and holds a lot more volumes, and is getting more recognition now than some of the blockbusters we have seen. And here's a perfect example. Do anybody remember Hercules this year? with The Rock?
I I,
Anyone?
I saw
You?
previews.
That's it. That's it.
I
That's all
just
I need to
know that
say.
those trailers fucking lie to everyone, so I'm like, maybe I'll catch on DVD or Blu-ray if I'm drunk.
Alrighty, we're now approaching that time where we will have to say our, promotions. We'll let you start off first. If you got anything you want to promote, go right on ahead and promote it.
On my blog, jashikins.blogspot.com, the next part of my Animorphs reread should be out soon. It's covering the 4 more chapters of Animorphs number 7, The Stranger, and just a warning, if you have never read the Animorphs series before and you want to, even though I am going to be, rereading those 4 chapters of one book, this is a reread, which means I know what happens next, so I will spoil things from time to time. So if you're a first-time reader of the series, I would suggest reading the series first and then going back into the reread, just so you know you don't get anything spoiled for you. Because I do mention a character's death like a bunch of times hinting throughout. Um,
All right.
let's see, the Dawning. I'm working on chapters for the Dawning and the Horny Heart. Both of those are mature content, as Jock Early can testify. And I'm also working on the next
Mm-hmm.
chapter. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. The next chapter of SNN I'm working on, and that should be out in a day or two. And finally, the Falling Skies Season 2 review should be out in a day or two if I actually get working on it tonight. Season 4 review, not Season 2. Over to you.
All right. Alrighty. So with me going on here, I might as well tell you guys right now, Park Slope Adventures will be ending very, very soon. I'm breaking it up into 2 long issues. So that's one of the reasons why I didn't post out right away. I don't want to drag it any longer than it needs to be. The first one, if things go well, should be posted tomorrow, which is Tuesday, no later than Friday if I feel I need to do some Kings. As for issue 78, which is the last issue of the Park Slope storyline of the Man in Red saga, that will be posted on a later date. I will give the date ahead of schedule. If I'm given the date ahead of schedule, that means it is completed. Whatever editing or whatever kinks I want to knock down. But in that meantime, between the gap of 77 and 78, there will be a new storyline produced that is not Park Slope related, but something that is connected within the universe. So basically, what I mean by it's not so related means it's not following the original storyline. So that's happening. I'm closing in on the season finale of Entertainment Roundup. That will be ending very soon, the end of September. And that will be going on a hiatus, minus, of course, the 2 episodes I do when the award season starts up. Flashback reviews will start to make their return this coming September. It is going to be a very special flash review because it's going to be live with my partner. I'm not telling you what this is, but it's going to be pretty much a top list, and that will be from. It will be a heads up on Twitter, on my Twitter account. I will tell you exactly what that is. But so the flashback review will make their premiere on the last week. And as for flashback reviews, it will be posted every Thursday from here on out. We will have a special weekend review, and every Thursday after that will be a new flashback review movie episode coming out. So that's going to also happen right there. Also, reading review will start there. Will be posted on Saturday. It will be a weekend thing only with limited episodes that I'm scheduling. So it's not going to be a season long. It's probably going to be I have a season and no more, no less. And that's pretty much it, guys. Oh, and one more thing before I forget. Um, I will leave a link to Express Yourself. That's going to be an ongoing thing talking about what we just talked about earlier about the homeless situation. I think it's best that you hear it from the person who experienced it himself. Give you all the stuff that's going on and why the cities, just the country in general, need to stop acting like that this is not a huge problem and really start to come up with ideas to help the situation because it's not getting any better; it's only getting any worse. And that's it. So, any last things you want to talk about before we head off?
Mm. Divergent is
I
not
guess
a
that sounds like
Hunger
you're ready to
Games
get it.
ripoff. Fuck you.
There you have it, guys. All right, next week, uh, we will be back again next week. And as always, if you're looking at this, feedback is definitely in general. We will have at least two more pilots. The reason why I'm doing it as
Actually,
pilots and not just special episodes.
next week
Next week you won't be here.
yeah, I probably won't be here. Just I think that's the day before I go off to, California. So, it's either I'll be
All right,
doing
so
last minute packing or I'll be, flying on a jet plane. Don't know when I'll be back again in a week.
don't worry. Well, you
Yeah.
don't have to worry about that because I will still do episodes there. We still will come back, and when we come back, we will officially know exactly how this style of format will be like. This. Like I said, it's gonna be mostly entertainment, but I think mixing it up with some serious topics as well as entertainment makes the show more better than what we had last time. So, but it's
Yeah,
still a pilot episode.
the
When you
serious.
come back from vacation, which is be 2 weeks from now,
Yeah.
huh?
I think starting it off with the serious stuff is fair because then we can, finish it off on a light note instead of this person died. This group is assholes.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly. So we'll work on that, but that's the important that we mix it up a little bit, and I think we had fun with it. I think we did good. You think I was ranting? I really wasn't ranting, but but I did have a lot of important stuff here, and we're working up from there on there. So one thing is definitely permanent. We will continue the top five. I think that's kind of something I want to do. End it with the top five. End it with the upcoming movies, hit or miss, and from there we just work from there. And again, my computer decided to black out on me for reasons I do not know.
It's
Uh,
been
I hope it
freezing.
comes back because it came back the last time.
Your image has been like freezing up every now and again, delayed speech. Like sometimes you're speaking and then for like a second I don't hear anything, but I hear enough to communicate back.
Okay. Well, I'm back now, so we're going to end it right now, guys. As always, those who are looking at this on a later time, you leave your comments, leave your stories, and as I said before, and I'll say this again, if you have a story that is entertainment news related or just serious related that you want me to talk about and give a crack about it. If it's something serious, it's something that's happening, and something's going to affect us in our everyday lives, by all means, leave it on the comment section. I'll take a look at it and I'll give it a whirl. But until then, guys, J77 saying thank you very much for the support. Take care, be safe, and I'll talk to you soon. Say goodbye, Josh.
Bye. He's waving.
And we are off the. Are we still in the air?